In the beautiful city of Koma, there lived a beautiful couple, Anna and Tony. This couple have been married for 5 years. Their lives unraveled in a story that many envied. Tony and Anna have been university sweethearts before they decided to get married. Everyone in the neighborhood envied the love they shared between themselves. To the outside world, their marriage seemed like the best, with a peaceful home, good living condition, and a successful and thriving career. Anna was a high-flying corporate banker who was passionate about her career. From the moment she stepped into the profession, her name became likened with excellence, earning her accolades and a prominent position in one of the leading banks in the city. Tony, on the other hand, was a successful architect whose designs graced the skyline of the city. His creativity and passion for his work were well known, but as accomplished as he was, Tony was a man who valued family above every other thing. His dreams was to build a home filled with love, laughter, and the joy of children. But that dream, like so many others, was slowly slipping away. Anna had made it clear from the beginning of their marriage that children will have to wait. I need to reach a certain level in my career before giving birth. Once we start having children, that calls for more responsibilities, which I'm not ready to take up at the moment. Tony, once I'm there, we can start a family. But for now, she would say, her tone firm and resolute. Tony had agreed at first, understanding his wife's ambition. He was also passionate about his work. But as the years passed, the distance began to draw apart. Anna's days were consumed by her job. She often left the house before dawn and returned late at night, tired and irritated. Even on weekends, she was supposed to spend time with her husband. She would always preoccupy herself with work. Anna was always working 24/7, so focused on her job that she neglected her husband's needs. The marriage, once filled with warmth and affection, had become cold. Tony would wait up for her, hoping a few moments of connections could be formed. But more often than not, she would brush him off with a tired sigh, retreating to bed with the excuse of an early morning meeting. "I'm tired, Tony," she would say, turning her back to him. "Can't we talk about this later?" Tony's frustration grew, but Anna was blind to it. She was too focused on the next promotion, the next big case, the next accolades. The home that Tony had dreamt to be filled with love and laughter now echoed with emptiness. Conversations dropped to the barest minimum, and intimacy became a once-in-a-month thing. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on your notification button, like and comment. Thank you. The one thing Anna did to ease her guilt was to hire a maid, a young woman named Rita, to take care of the house chores. Rita was a hardworking and diligent young lady, always ensuring the house was kept sparkling clean and Tony's needs were properly taken care of when Anna wasn't around. She cooks Tony's favorite meals, kept his clothes neatly ironed, and make sure the house is in order. In her mid-20s, with a shy demeanor and a kind heart, she had been grateful for the job. She didn't talk much, but her presence became the healing balm to Tony's growing loneliness. One evening, as Tony sat alone in the living room with a glass of whiskey, Rita approached him with a hesitant look on her face. "Sir, is there anything you need?" she asked softly, her voice barely a whisper. Tony looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. She was standing there in the modest dress, her hands clasped nervously in front of her. She had been working for them for nearly a year now, and in that time, she had become more of a companion than his own wife. The realization hit him like a punch to the guts. "No, Rita, thank you," he replied, his voice tinged with sadness. But there is something in the way she looked at him, something vulnerable, something understanding triggered a flood of emotions. He had long buried that night. As he lay in bed, alone once again, his thoughts kept returning to her. She was always there, a constant presence in his life, filling the void that Anna's absence has created. The tension in the house grew intensively. Tony found himself drawn to Rita. His loneliness and unmet needs faded away with Rita's presence. It was wrong. He knew it was, but the temptation gnawed at him, especially during the long nights when Anna was either away or tired to even talk. "Sir, I heard you called my name. Is everything all right?" she asked in a concerned tone, evident in her voice. Tony looked at her, his heart pounding in his chest. The loneliness, the neglect, the frustration, all of it boiled over. Without thinking, he closed the distance between them, his hand reaching out to touch her face. "Rita," he whispered, his voice raw with need. She didn't pull away. Instead, she looked up at him with wide, searching eyes, and in that moment, everything else faded away. It was a mistake, one that both of them would regret, but in that instant, it felt like a lifetime. A desperate grasp of something real, something tangible in a world that had become unbearably cold and empty. When it was over, they both knew what had happened could never be undone. They avoided each other. The next day, guilt and shame hanging heavily in the air, Tony tried to focus on his work, but his mind kept drifting back to that night, to what he had done. He knew he had betrayed his wife, but a part of him felt justified. Justified in his loneliness, in his unmet needs, in the way Anna had pushed him away for her career. Weeks passed, and the tension grew unbearable. Anna remained adamant of her husband's feelings. She was too engrossed in her career to notice the shifts in her own home. But then, Rita began to fall ill. She was constantly vomiting, unable to eat properly. At first, she tried to hide it, but it became increasingly difficult. One morning, she fainted while preparing breakfast. Anna was already at work. Tony was preparing to leave to the office when he realized Rita was lying unconscious on the kitchen floor. Tony immediately rushed her to the hospital, his mind racing with worry, and put a call through to his wife, Anna. The doctor's words were like a thunderclap in a clear sky. "Mr. Tony, Your maid is pregnant." Tony felt the ground split open below him. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Pregnant? How could this have happened? But he knew how. The weight of what he had done came crashing down on him. He returned home, lost in thought, unsure of what to do. Anna was already home, sitting in the living room, with her phone in her hands as she read through some emails. She looked up as he entered the living room, frowning at the expression on his face. She immediately said to Tony, "So sorry baby, when you called, was busy with work and couldn't make it to the hospital." She turned to Rita. "How are you, Rita? Hope you are better now." "I think you should take the day off from work." "Okay ma, thank you so much ma," she responded as she walked into her room. She faced Tony. "What's wrong, Tony?" she asked, her tone distant. Tony looked at her, the woman he had once loved so deeply, the woman he had married with dreams of a future together, but those dreams were now shattered and replaced by harsh reality of their fractured marriage. "Anna, we need to talk," he began, his voice trembling. She put her phone down finally, giving him her full attention. "What is it?" He took a deep breath, knowing that what he was about to say would change everything. "Rita is pregnant, and I'm the father." The room went silent, the air thick with the weight of his confession. Anna stared at him, her face a mask of shock and disbelief. For a moment, it seemed like she hadn't heard him correctly, like her mind was trying to process the impossible. "What? What did you just say?" she finally managed to whisper, her voice barely audible. Tony repeated himself, each word feeling like a dagger to his heart. "Rita is pregnant, Anna, and it's my child." The silence that followed was suffocating. Anna's eyes filled with tears, but her expression remained hard. She rose to her feet, trembling with rage and betrayal. "How could you, Tony? How could you do this to us? To me?" she demanded, her voice rising with each word. "You betrayed me with a maid? In my own matrimonial home?" Tony, feeling the weight of his guilt, could only bow his head. "Anna, I'm sorry. I know I have hurt you, but you pushed me away. You've been so focused on your career that you've forgotten about me. I was lonely. I needed you, but you were never there." Anna's tears fell freely from her eyes, her anger and pain mixing into a storm of emotion. "So this is my fault? Because I worked hard to build a career? Because I wanted more for us? That justified what you did?" "No," Tony said, his voice breaking. "It doesn't justify it, and I'm not making excuses. But you have to understand that we've been neglecting this marriage. I should have talked to you more. I should have done something sooner. But I didn't. And now it's too late." Anna collapsed into a chair, her strength leaving her as the reality of the situation set in. The betrayal was too much to bear. The idea of her husband fathering a child with another woman in their own home was a wound that might never heal. So what do we do now? Anna said. She asked, her voice very mild. Tony, still standing, looked at her with a mixture of sorrow and determination. I don't know, but I think we need time apart. We need to figure out what we really want. If this marriage can be saved. Anna nodded slowly, her eyes staring into the distance, as if searching for answers in the void. What about the child? She said. Tony closed his eyes, the weight of the question pressing down on him. I will take responsibility, of course, but I don't expect you to stay with me because of that. You need to decide what's best for us and for you. The days that followed were filled with silence. Anna moved out of their home, returning to her parents' house to think, while Tony remained behind, left to deal with the consequences of his actions. Tony rented an apartment for Rita and arranged for help to take care of her throughout her pregnancy. Anna, away from the chaos, had time to reflect on everything that had happened. She realized in her pursuit for success, she had lost sight of what truly mattered. Her career had been her focus, but in the process, she had neglected that the man she loved, the marriage they had built together. But the betrayal cut too deep, which is not entirely her husband's fault. As months passed, Anna decided to move back to her husband's house after so much pleas from Tony, frequently visiting her mother's house to ask for forgiveness. They both agreed to take care of the child together when they give birth. Anna eventually found peace, throwing herself back into her career, but this time with a balance she hadn't known before. Few months after their reunion, Anna took in, that was the happiest moment of Tony's life. She finally put to bed a boy and a girl. They lived happily ever after, while Rita also raised her child with all the love, care, and support she needed from Tony and Anna. The story of Tony and Anna became a lesson tale and a reminder that family first over every other thing, and with a career requires constant attention on your family, and that neglect in any form can lead to heartbreak and loss of the ones who truly care for us. Thank you for staying with me till the very end. Share with me in the comment section what lessons you've learned from these stories. And I hope you find this story interesting. Please subscribe to my channel at African Storytales by ByVee. Like and share with family and friends, and stay tuned for more interesting and mind-blowing stories coming your way. I remain your favorite storyteller, African Storytales by ByVee. Bye!